As the founder of CLI, which stands for the Circle of Love and Impact, it started right around the time when George Floyd was murdered. CLI is made up of people from all across the United States and even around the world. Today is 246 days since the Lexington Fayette County Court took my two babies, Joseph and Faith Ann, from me in New Hampshire, and they have continued to deny me access, deny my children access to me. They have falsified allegations of mental health issues where there is none. They have sworn under oath lies that my children were in immediate and irreparable harm in New Hampshire. They have reversed the order that was given to me in August of 2020 to relocate to New Hampshire for my PhD. I believe the Lexington Fayette County Court judges have done this to me and to my children simply because I am a Jamaican American immigrant who came to Kentucky in 1996 as a caste student from Jamaica, along with several other brilliant young people from Central America through Georgetown University and USAID. I believe that the Lexington Fayette County family judges have done this to me because I am a Black woman, because I am an immigrant, because my children are Black, and because they do not respect the well-being, the health, and wholesomeness of Black people. The Kentucky Fayette County judges have used racial stereotypes against me and against all Jamaicans by a report that was submitted to the court by a licensed clinical social worker, Juan Christy Lever, on June the 14th. I believe that the report does document and highlight the stereotypes that are levied against immigrants, and in this instance, people from Jamaica. The court has considered arguments against my race. When I started CLI in June of 2020, I started CLI to bring to light one of the main purposes for which I came to the United States in 1996 as a scholar and as a change ambassador. I started CLI because I have 4 Black children. My estranged husband is a white man from Eastern Kentucky, from Martin, Eastern Kentucky. My husband, unfortunately, has hid his past history of domestic violence, of child abuse to me when we were looking to get married in 2015. My husband has a history of drug abuse, spousal abuse, and child abuse on his older children. Yet, the Kentucky Fayette County Family Court judges, Judge Kathy Stein, Judge Masterson, and now Judge Brislin, have given my children, Joseph and Faith, to Benjamin Caudill. And not only have they given my children to him, they have continued to allow Benjamin to abuse my son Joseph and my baby girl, Faith Ann. Joseph is 11 and a half now, and Faith Ann is now 3, approaching 4 months. And now, almost more than 8 months later, almost 9 months, the Fayette County Family Court judges have continued to aid and abet abuse, starvation, physical abuse, forcing my son to withhold his body waste on April 2nd through April 3rd of 2021, allowing my estranged abusive husband and the father of my 2 youngest children to starve my son, to lay on my baby girl, my 3-year-old baby girl, to continue to abuse my children emotionally and mentally, telling my son he will never see his mother again, based on lies about my health to the Fayette County Family Court judges. On January 25th of 2021, my estranged husband, Benjamin Caudill, told the appointed friend of court, whom he and his counsel, Valerie Kershaw, requested specifically, Davina Warner, my estranged abusive husband, told her that Grace was institutionalized, and Davina gaslighted me when she came on a Zoom call with me. She told me, she said, yes, you were institutionalized, and yes, you stole your older girls from their father in Jamaica. Those are just some of the examples of the lies that Benjamin Caudill have told to the different entities that he has asked to be appointed by the Fayette County Family Court. Krista Lever wrote in her report that my son presented as a child in a cult. My 4 children and I are Christians, Seventh-day Adventist Christians. Where I'm at right now, it's around 3:15, and that's about 3 hours left before the beginning of the Sabbath. It was on a Friday like today that Benjamin and his sister, Jennifer Hall, came to New Hampshire using a Kentucky botched, trumped-up men's rights movement order and took my children while they were ill from the Portsmouth Regional Medical Hospital ER. My son was so afraid, and still is, afraid of Benjamin, because Benjamin had physically abused my son in January of 2020 while I was at work at UK. I spent over an hour on the phone because I was afraid to leave work to go home. And I stayed on the phone over an hour with my second eldest daughter to calm their fears, to talk with them, to tell them that it was going to be okay. Benjamin had used a drill and drilled off the door to our family den there in Lexington, and drilled off the door because my son wanted to watch Wildcats. He wanted to watch his favorite cartoon after coming home from school one evening. It's a 25 minutes animated educational show on KET. And my son, like any normal 9-year-old, he wasn't yet 10, but like any normal 9-year-old boy, wanted to watch Wildcats. And he was told by his father, "You must do your homework now." And he told him, "I want to watch Wildcats." And for whatever reason, Benjamin became so enraged and incensed and angered at my son's desire to watch his favorite show. My son went to the family den, and his father, I was told by my son and my eldest daughter, took a drill, and while giving my baby, she was still only about 18 months, he drilled off the door to the family den and went in there. My son told his pediatrician in 2021 and in 2020 in New Hampshire that when he heard the door being drilled off, he got so scared, he went and hid behind the sectional sofa, trying to hide from the anger of Benjamin Caudill. Benjamin lost custody of his two older children in sometime in the 2000s. I did not have knowledge as to the reason he lost custody, but I learned and I realize now it's because of the abuse of his older children. Abuse which his mother, his dearly departed mother, reported to the same Fayette County judge, Kathy Stein, and the same judge who then, perhaps 10 or 15 years in the past, saw evidence of the abuse on the children and listened to Benjamin's mom, took the children from Benjamin, my stepchildren, and gave them to my husband's mom. Now, fast forward 15 years later, and my husband was given my two precious children, Joseph and Faith Ann, despite the history of abuse on not one wife, not two wives, not three wives, but now 4 wives. He was given sole custody of my baby and my son on April the 2nd. And my husband and his attorney, they went to New Hampshire and they lied to the New Hampshire judges, Judge Foley and Judge Susan Ashley. And they told them that our move to New Hampshire in August of 2020 was temporary. There was no temporary move. The Kentucky order ordered us to relocate, a relocation where no words pertaining to temporary were used. But still, the New Hampshire judges relinquished jurisdiction over my 2 babies and gave my babies into the sole custody of their abusive father, a notorious wife and children abuser. In September of 2021, one of my former attorneys wrote me to say, "It is acceptable for parents to withhold food as a form of punishment to children that are uncooperative." I came to America in 1996, And according to Georgetown University and United States Agency for International Development, a change agent is supposed to be a person or an entity who seeks to bring about change to social statuses and social inequities, change to bring equity and fairness. I never imagined that 25 plus years later, my own children would be facing inequity in the state that I was given a scholarship to come to America to talk about my culture in my old home country, to share about my culture and my traditions, to share about our upbringing. Today is November the 5th, and I believe today is a ceremony for General Colin, the late General Colin Powell. General Powell's parents were Jamaican immigrants who came to America in search of a better life. I came to America as a change agent in 1996. It's 25 years, I believe, ago. And today, November 5th, 2021, I sit here over 245 days and I have not talked with, I have not seen, I don't know how Joseph and Faith are doing. I came to America to make America a changed place, a place that welcomes immigrants, a place that welcomes other ideas, a place where racism is rampant, but believing that through justice and fairness and equity and the law that governs this great nation of which I am now a United States citizen, and so are all four of my babies. I never imagined that 25 years later, I would sit here knowing that I cannot pick up the phone and call my son. My son cannot pick up the phone and call his mother nor his older sisters with whom he has lived with since birth. He has been cared for by his older sisters because when I was 2.5 months pregnant, my estranged husband decided that he did not want to have a black son, and so he left. He left. Yet 6 years later, he returned and he convinced me to give him a second chance to make amends, quote unquote. He wanted to make amends to me and to my son. I believed him, I trusted him, and I invited him to take the opportunity which he begged for. And I gave him that opportunity. And instead, the very day after we were married, my husband began to abuse me. And he would tell me that he's going to change. He's going to go to counseling. He's going to get help. We're going to go to counseling together. My husband lied up and down the entire 6 years we were married. And we're still married. The courts in Kentucky have decided to prolong this divorce all the way through to April of 2022 for reasons unbeknown to me. except all I can believe and think is they're seeking to do permanent harm to my 2 children. Well, in fact, to my 4 children. The loss of my 2 babies, Joseph and Faith Ann, has adversarially affected my 2 older daughters, whom have been buddies and close siblings and caregivers and friends and playmates with their sister Faith, baby Faith, and their brother, their only brother, Joseph. My older girls, they would tease me and they would say, Mom, you have favorites. We know Joseph is your favorite. And I would tell them, no, I don't have favorites. I love all my children equally. And they would tell me, Mom, Joseph is your favorite. Joseph, Faith, I am still here. I am still fighting. My will is not broken. I will get my babies back. And there will be change to the justice system in America. Children whom have written that their mother has never abused them. Children whom have written that their mother has done nothing wrong. And I will not stop. I will not rest until you're both safely back in my arms. This great nation that I now call home and voted for the first time last year in the general election will change. There will be change. Many people have written affidavits and testimonies that attest to who Grace Wilson Marshall is and whom she has raised her children to be. And it's not the lies that have been told to the Fayette County and the Dover, New Hampshire courts. It is quite the contrary. Joseph and Faith Ann and Kaylee and Michaela were raised to see people as equal, irregardless of the melanin content of their skin and irregardless of their socioeconomic status and regardless of where they hail from. I mentioned that the late General Colin Powell, his parents, today, as I nervously and anxiously compile documents to send back to Kentucky, documents that I hope will show that it is my husband whom has been deceiving the Kentucky courts, the New Hampshire courts. My husband has reported me as dead to my providers in New Hampshire. My husband has been asking my attorneys for my life insurance and the life insurance policies for my children. My husband has threatened to put my son in a mental institution in Lexington known as the Ridge. My son had no behavioral problems before April 2nd. Many people will and have written affidavits notarized that speaks to the truth about whom my son is. My son was not radicalized, as Krista Lever wrote in her report, against white people. My son's best friends are white boys. My son's best friend's parents are my friends. The majority of my friends are white people. Most people will tell you Jamaicans are straightforward. If there are people that were not considered people to me, I would not have married a white man who left me when I was 2.5 months pregnant. I would not have given him the chance to, quote unquote, make amends as he claimed. My husband, I believe, came back, divorced his third wife when he realized that I had education. I am the holder of 4 degrees, and I believe he only returned because he doesn't like to work. He likes to be supported by women. He wants to gain wealth from others. And so he has lied and stolen and done much harm to me and to my children. The Lexington Fayette County judges, most recently, Judge Stein and Judge Brislin currently, they have both ordered my house to be turned over to my husband. It was my credit, my income, my down payment, my account that were established from as far back as 2012 at the Commonwealth Credit Union in Kentucky, from which I was able to acquire a house in 2018. I believe what is happening was premeditated, it was pre-planned, and it's now just coming to full fruition. I believe my husband planned everything that has played out. I believe he premeditated and orchestrated exactly what is happening. My husband threatened me several times between 2018 and 2020 after we moved back to Kentucky. He knew I had started my PhD at the University of New Hampshire. He knew that I wanted to complete my PhD. We had begun to make plans to go back to New Hampshire in 2019. I was awarded a full fellowship to continue my PhD at the University of New Hampshire. And my husband again convinced me to delay my entry until fall of 2020. And as the pandemic hit and things began to change in the country, in schools, in jobs, my husband realized that I would continue my PhD as he had encouraged me to do in fall of 2020. And one day in 2020, we were arguing, and I told him, I said, you know, I will continue my PhD as we had discussed. And he said to me, your plans will not go according to what you have planned. And in August of 2020, my husband attacked me. And as I raised my hand to protect my face, he attacked me in front of our son, Joseph. Joseph was watching church, seated on the sofa in the downstairs living room. And as my husband came down to hit me in the face with a dirty rag, I raised my hand to protect my face, and he was so close to me, coming down with the weight of his hand. As he was coming down and my hand was going up, my husband's forehead, I believe it was his left bro right here. I had a little Toshiba remote for the TV in my hand. I was getting ready to watch church from New Hampshire. So I was hooking up my phone. Still have it. This phone. Was hooking it up to the television using the HDMI cable. And as I raised my hand like this to protect my face, my husband forward and the remote connected, and my husband immediately began to scream at me. And then he left and he went to our bathroom, and he was in there for quite a while. And I thought, why is he in the bathroom so long? He's supposed to go to help his son, my stepson, relocate, move house. My stepson was moving house. And I remember I left, I got up off the couch from beside Joseph, and I went to the bathroom, went into the bedroom, and he had the bathroom door locked. And I remember hearing the chair buzzing. And as I opened the bathroom door, it was my husband with the chair like this, pressed up against his eye, against his brow. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Nothing," he stuttered. My husband was using the chair, the electrical chair, to cut himself. He cut himself above his left eye. And I remember calling my daughter, and I said, "You will not believe what I just saw Benjamin doing." And he left the house that afternoon. It was probably around 1 or 1:15. And he came home around 9:30 p.m. that night. And as he came home around 9:30 p.m., I said, "What took you so long?" I said, "Nicholas only has a futon and a couple, pieces of clothes, maybe a couple bags. It's not like he has a one-bedroom apartment. He has a futon. Why did it take you almost 8 hours to move Nicholas's futon?" He began to deride me and tell me I was a stupid B word, and I was insecure little B word, and in front of Joseph and Faith Ann and Kaylee and Michaela in the upstairs den where he had abused Joseph. And I left the room. Before I left the room, Joseph said to him, "Dad, remember when you took me to school one day and I begged you to stop abusing Mom? And you said, and stop calling her name, and you said you would, but you still do it." And he walked past. As he was walking past, he stopped and said to Joseph, "Son, I know, but she's too effing stupid. She's the most stupidest, smartest person I ever know." And my son looked at me, and I turned my face away, and I went downstairs. And I went downstairs to our closet, and I began to pack my winter clothes away from all the hangers. It's a closet. I had not yet packed away my winter clothes, and the closet was laden down with all my sweaters and my jackets. And I decided to remove myself from the abusive situation upstairs. So I decided to pack away my winter clothes and to get rid of some clothing that I didn't need anymore. And as I was in the downstairs, in our walk-in closet, my husband came, and I was on the phone with a friend, and I as I was telling the friend what had happened that day, and just a moment ago, my husband Benjamin came to the door to the bathroom, right where I had seen him cutting himself with his shear. And my husband stood there and listened and kept listening to my conversation. And I remember him saying, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm packing away my winter clothes." And he left. And he before he left, I turned to him and I said, I cannot have you share a bed with me tonight. I said, "You continuously disrespect me, abuse me emotionally, verbally, in front of my children." I said, "Please sleep in the upstairs den. Do not sleep in the bed tonight." And he began to cuss me some more while my friend was on the phone. And he finally left the room. And that Sunday morning, it was August the 2nd, I remember prior to the encounters on Saturday, my husband saying, "Oh, I'm working early Sunday morning." My husband has a construction business that I helped him to build in 2015 after we were married. All the customers, the big customers that he got, I got them for him. These were my friends or my friends' friends. I asked for work so that he could also work. So he didn't want to work. He wanted me to support him. He knew I had the education to command a good salary, and I believe that's why my husband returned in 2015. Not because he wanted to make amends or have a relationship with Joseph or me if I would let him, in his own words, but because he had married 3 other women prior to me and they didn't make enough money. And he had done his research and knew that I made good money at the Lexington Fayette County Health Department. And he wanted someone who could support him. And he took the opportunity. And then, as he has done to the previous 3 wives, after 5 years, he moves on. And my husband would cuss at me and deride me. He would tell me, "This house is mine. These children are mine." And I thought, that is the strangest thing to say. Well, I now know it's not strange. Because today, my husband, using the Fayette County Family Court judges, Judge Kathy Stein, Judge Masterson, and now Judge Brislin, and the licensed clinical social worker Krista Lever, the Cabinet for Health and Family Services social worker Hannah Yeager. They have written false report against me, and they have enabled and abetted Benjamin to alienate, to withhold my children against me using lies. They have ordered psychological evaluation against me. I have done 2 psychological evaluations. Even my very own attorneys have been offered bribes by Benjamin Ryan Caudle when he would cuss at me and deride me and tell me, "These children are mine. This house is mine." He would then tell me, "We will let the court decide." I would say to him, "The courts will never give you my children. They would never give you my children because you are the abuser. You have a history of drug addiction, felonies. You are the abuser. You are the one abusing us." Unbeknownst to me, my eldest daughter had kept a journal of all the times my husband would abuse me. In August of 2021, just a few months ago, I was in my house in Kentucky, me and my two older girls, and my husband would consistently, he and his attorney, Valerie Kershaw, they would consistently send court constables, the sheriffs to my house to harass us. My older daughters now have emotional and mental health diagnosis because of the consistent abuse from Benjamin, from the system, the police, the sheriffs in New Hampshire, the sheriffs in Kentucky, the police in New Hampshire, the police in Kentucky. My husband sent all these people to my house to terrorize me and my older daughters, to tell me to get out of my house or be put in prison. Judge Brislin on August 27th threatened me, sign over your house or go to prison. Sign over your house, making Benjamin power of attorney to list and sell and close on your house and put the net proceeds in his attorney's escrow. My previous attorneys told the judge, since they ordered that in June of 2021, all the way through to July 23 of 2021, that is illegal. That is theft of real property. Yet, on August 27th of 2021, I had two attorneys who were in the Zoom hearing when Judge Brislin stated, sign the POA or go to prison. Prior to August 27th, my attorney had told the judge, Your Honor, if you force her to sign over her house, I will immediately file an appeal to Frankfort, Kentucky, because that is theft of real property. That is illegal. On August 27th, neither of my two attorneys, one from New Hampshire, one from Kentucky, neither of them spoke up. Neither of them filed an appeal. In fact, they helped to support that order. They told me, Grace, if you don't sign this power of attorney and notarize it in the way they have written it, I tried to put in there, I tried to ask them, allow that the proceeds would pay the utility companies, Kentucky Utility, American Water, and Lexserve, the sewer people, ensure that they pay whatever bills are remaining on the accounts. They did not put that in the power of attorney. In fact, all orders, all motions that have been submitted since August 28 of 2020, over 15 months now, have been on behalf of Benjamin Ryan Caudle, motions and orders that my attorneys support, and motions and orders that the judges sign against me and against my children, and have continued to aid and abet abuse of Joseph and Faith. My own attorney in September write me and tell me that it is okay. I took an oath of allegiance, pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America on October 29th of 2020 in Louisville, Kentucky. Little did I know that the home of the free, the home of the brave, is only for white folks. that black kids could be starved by their white fathers and the court does nothing about it, that black kids could be allowed to be mentally and emotionally traumatized, and instead of the judge removing those children from their abuser, they continue to allow abuse of two minor children. Joseph was identified, gifted, and talented in 2015 through my efforts in the Fayette County school system because Joseph is smart. He's a thinker. He's a loving child. He's funny. He loves soccer. He loves playing the piano. I insisted he learn to play the piano. So I paid for his lessons with a Jamaican pianist. She's probably approaching 90. I believe she's right there in Lexington still, Kentucky. And Joseph has been denied the ability to play soccer, to practice his religion, to have piano lessons with this Jamaican 80-plus-year-old pianist. Joseph have been told your belief in God is foolishness, and Joseph have been alienated from the people he knows, from the people who loves him and have cared for him. Faith Ann has a developmental delay, a speech impediment, and Faith Ann, I believe it has been reported, is not getting the developmental help she needs. When she was in New Hampshire with me, once a week we had an entire hour of play therapy, and where I was teaching my baby sign language. And she had begun to make progress, so much so that her providers ensured that they documented the need for consistency for my baby girl. Yet on April the 2nd, Judge Stein from Kentucky, Judge Ashley, and Judge Foley in New Hampshire relinquished jurisdiction over my babies and allowed them to be taken by their abusers. In early March, one day, I came back from the grocery stores with groceries. Faith Ann loves strawberries. And as I entered the little apartment, I called out to my second daughter. I said, Kaylee, get a bowl and wash the strawberries so Faith Ann can get them. She's begun to eat them and they're unwashed. And Kaylee was in her room, so I called out to her a second time. And Faith Ann who was in the kitchen with me, devouring the strawberries, she turned at me and she said, "Where's the bowl?" I was so amazed and alarmed and jubilant that my baby, who does have a developmental speech delay, had spoken not a simple sentence, but a sentence with conjugation because of the help she was getting and the IEP that was developed for her by the Oyster River school system and the state of New Hampshire where she was born. And in the June 2021 report that the requested licensed clinical social worker wrote to the court, she noted that my baby girl is entirely mute. So 2.5 months after they took and ripped my babies out of my arms, in New Hampshire from the ER where they were sick and where the ER doctor had ordered that they do not travel for at least 8 days. My husband ripped my children from my arms and have been sitting there at 1644 Richmond Road in someone's house. I won't get into where and how he acquired that house because I really don't know. All I know is what he has told me, that the wife of the homeowner is wanting that house, and so apparently he wanted it more. So he's in that woman's husband's house at 1644 Richmond Road. I believe it's a $3.18 million house. Many people, including my attorneys, have asked me, where does Ben get so much money? And my answer is, I don't know. The little money that I earned, I used it to support my family when we were married. And that's how he lived. He lived off of my money. And so where he gets that kind of money from now remains to be disclosed and to be found out. My husband has since sold my house for below market value. And some monies apparently are sitting in his attorney's escrow. I believe that it is my husband's and the court's intention to try to find cause to take my children permanently from me. It is a system that they have established there in Lexington, Kentucky. I have met many mothers whom Krista Lever has done similar things to. I was told by my attorneys that Krista Lever is one of those quote-unquote experts on child psychology who hangs around the Fayette County Court to be appointed in divorces such as yours. I believe that it is the goal of Benjamin, even before he returned into my life and my children's lives in 2015, to do what he has gotten the judges in Kentucky, the Fayette County sheriffs, the Krista Lever, the social worker Hannah Yiga, all those people. Somehow, through some form, he has managed to use his lies and his counsel to lie for him, even when the evidence are right in their faces. He has consistently lied about paying child support to me when I had the children in New Hampshire, even though the evidences are blatantly there that he never paid 4 months of child support, yet he continues to lie. In April, after they took my babies, they went on Google and they Googled my salary from 2019, and they used that salary, which is not even accurate because I had not worked for 3 months. I had to take FMLA. It's a family medical leave under the federal law if you're sick. I was so sick from the abuse from Benjamin Caudill in 2019 that I had to take 3 months of FMLA from my employer. So I went 3 months without being paid. And they used my 2019 salary as documented on Google. And they used that to impute a $1,572 per month child support to me, while I am yet unemployed, have been unemployed since June 10th of 2020. I believe that Benjamin took my children not because he wants them, not because, well, he does want them. He wants them for child support. He wants them for spousal support, but not because he loves them. He took them because it's a means to his ends, which is food stamp, WIC, Medicaid, um, and child tax credit, and child credit, and all of the government welfare and benefits that you can imagine is the reason that he has taken my children. His two older children were placed in the foster care system by the state of Kentucky, and he helped to get them there and helped to keep them there so he would not have to support his older children, Madeline and Nicholas. This is who Benjamin Caudill is. There's so much more to tell, but I wanted to put this out there because I have paid over tens of thousands of dollars to several attorneys, at least 10, between the state of New Hampshire and Kentucky since August of 2020. I have paid all these attorneys monies to protect my children, to remove my children, to disclose the lies, to reveal the lies that Benjamin and his attorney Valerie have been telling the Kentucky Family Court and the New Hampshire Family Court, and none of them have done that. Not a single one of my attorneys have revealed the lies that they have told. And so, as a change agent who was awarded the honor of being a Kentucky colonel by Governor Paul E. Patton in 1997, when I came to Kentucky as a scholar, I sit here broken because my two precious vulnerable children are in immediate harm. They're in immediate harm in Lexington, Kentucky at 1644 Richmond Road. It's less than a mile up the road from the Fayette County Courthouse. My son has written a 3-page testimony in June and begged the clinical social worker to give it to the judge so the judge can know the abuse he is under. The judge has refused, or she may have not been given that testimony. I went to Kentucky in June and I filed an emergency protective order based on the abuse that has been documented by my son and the abuse that has been reported by the clinical social worker. And the judge who we were told cannot be on the case because she has been discussing the case with her neighbor. Her neighbor is Benjamin's attorney, Valerie Kershaw. And she was recused in June when Judge Stein was recused. It was that same judge, the Honorable Judge Masterson, who denied the EPO in June. And in denying the EPO, she noted, the parties have a case in the courts, file motions. And she denied the EPO, did not say a thing about the abuse that was documented, is documented, that was provided by the EPO. But instead, she left my babies, Joseph and Faith, in their abuser's possession. Today is November 5th, and they continue to aid and abet the abuse of my children. This is not the America that I pledge allegiance to. where children are sold as slaves for child support, where children are denied access to their mothers and their siblings. This is not the America that I voted for, where in the year 2021, a child is being told their belief in God is foolishness and is prevented from practicing their religion. Benjamin continues to deny Joseph his right to his Christian religion. Benjamin continues to deny Joseph the right to his natural mother, me, Grace, whom through thick and thin have always been there for my children, whom brought my child into this world, even though others were saying, Grace, you can't raise 3 children by yourself. I have, and I will now raise 4 children by myself, because I will get my babies back, Joseph and Faith Ann. My eldest daughter is now a young adult, so my work with her is done. It's never really done, but it's done. So I will raise 3 children by myself. It is not right what these Fayette County Family Court judges have done. What they have done is illegal. They've stolen my babies. They've stolen my house. They continue to impute wrongful child support to me. They continue to hold me in contempt, even though it is they who have told previous attorneys, let her pay what she can in child support. I have been paying what I can using the President Biden child tax credit. Every month I send what I can from the child tax credit I get for my children, Joseph, Faith, and Kaylee. I have been sending that, but it is not enough, because if you live in a $3.1 million mansion, you're going to need more money. And that is what your licensed Kentucky nurse registered license is for, Benjamin Caudill. Your registered nurse license is for you to get a job as a registered nurse. I am a full-time PhD student. I am a student with the state of New Hampshire. I am working to build my IT consulting business, but I can't work. I can't work because of the abuse. Day in and day out, constant motions, constant court wranglings, summons and warrants and threats of incarcerations, and reports that are falsified, and lies that continuously are told to the courts, and judges who screamed at me, get out of the house. I told Judge Brislin on August the 27th, Your Honor, you are telling me to become homeless with my minor daughter, the one I have in my possession right now. You are telling me to become homeless by signing over my house. I asked her, I said, can we take out a home equity line of credit and give my estranged husband what he claims that he has in the house, a house that I paid all the mortgage for, a house that I paid all the insurance for, and all the taxes for, and all the utilities for. My husband closed on my house sometime in the last week of October, and he and his attorney have elected not to pay the almost $2,500 in utilities to the 3 utility companies, because their intention, as prior counsel have told me, is to bleed me dry, to bleed me financially dry, to leave me destitute. But it will not be so, because that same God who woke me up this morning, the same God whom I believe is keeping my children alive, though I have no proof that my children are alive. I have no proof except that testimony that was written back in June from my son Joseph. And I do get reports from my son's school that my son is missing his assignments, and that my son now has D's and F, a straight A gifted and talented young man, almost 12 years old, at the point in his life where this is a make or break point, is getting D's and F. His mental health is so impacted that he cannot perform in school. Yet every day, all I get from my attorneys are motions and orders. Do this, Grace, do that, sign this, Grace, sign that, Grace. Turn over this, Grace, answer the questions the way they're supposed to be answered, Grace. According to civil rule, I am not an attorney. I'm an abused mother. My children have been taken 246 days. And the Fayette County Family Court judges have done immediate and irreparable harm to me and to my 4 children, and especially to my 2 youngest children. The laws of this country are supposed to be for all people, land of the free, home of the brave. And yet, my children sit in captivity, sit in isolation, sit in starvation because of racism, of sexism, because of the men's right movement, because of cultural hatred that has vilified Jamaicans. General Colin Powell, if you need an example, look to him. His parents were Jamaican immigrants. Does that make them a criminal too? Yet, judges in Kentucky can use my nationality against me and against my children, my culture against me and against my children, my religion against me and against my children, my belief in God against me and against my children. When I came to America, when I returned in 2005, I returned here not for a better life, but for a life where I was free to worship God and to live and dance and breathe and move and have my being. I came here for religious liberty, and that will be a story that I will share one day. I came here for religious liberty. And now my children, Joseph and Faith, are being denied their religious rights to practice as a Seventh-day Adventist Christian. It was written in that Krista Lever report that she wrote to the court that my son's youth club, when she Googled it, it showed that it was a paramilitary club. The Pathfinder, Miss Krista Lever, is a youth group. They're called Kingdom Soldiers in Lexington, Kentucky. Do you know what they do, Krista Lever? They go out into Lexington, Kentucky, and they serve the homeless food, and they give detergent and socks and jackets to the people, the homeless people right there in the great state of Kentucky, in Lexington. That's what Kingdom Soldiers, Pathfinders do. That's what they do. My son was learning how to make knots, tie knots, how to make fire without matches. He was learning that in New Hampshire. He was learning about the Bible. He was learning the books of the Bible. This great nation founded on God. That's what my son was being taught. He was not in a cult. He was not in a paramilitary group. So before you write nonsense and reveal your ignorance about the Pathfinders in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, you need to figure it out, do your research, and clean up your dirty act and set my children free.